Okay, so welcome. My name is Bee, and Teresa is also on the call with me. We'll be the co-guides for the road ahead in Awakening the Wild Heart Weekend. And the purpose of this call this evening is to talk about what the weekend is about and kind of some of the details of the logistics of the weekend, and also to let y'all get to know us a little bit and what called us to this work and who we are, and the Rites of Passage Council and our involvement with the council, and what we hope the program will provide for all the participants that come. So we're going to start with, Tree and I just did an invocation before the call started just to kind of set the space and get us ready for speaking with you this evening. And Tree, I believe you've got a song that you're going to start us with. I lost your sound. Say that again.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, hi, I'm Tree. Yeah, I just wanted to thank each of you for showing up on the call with us tonight, and welcome your curiosity and your questions if they arise. And I'm going to share this beautiful song by dear soul that I am friends with. Her name is Lily Lumina. The song is called The Makers.
I am like the mountain, sturdy and strong. I am like the river flowing on and on. I am like the fire dancing wild and free. I am like the warm breeze gently kissing your cheek. And all that is within me is without me just the same. For I know the makers and they know me by name. Yes, all that is within me is without me just the same. For I know the makers and they know me by name.
And thank you, Lily Lumina. So I'm going to introduce myself. Again, my name is Bee. I am an occupational therapist / many other things. I've been an occupational therapist for 32 years. I'm trained in Hakomi somatic psychotherapy. I'm a life coach. I am a partner. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I've been around the Rites of Passage work, on the edges of it. I'm Cater's sister. So I've been on the edges of this work for many years, but it wasn't until my own midlife awakening or midlife unraveling or crisis, however you want to call it, happened, that I started getting curious about different ways to engage with the sacred, and different ways to return myself back to my center. After a long-term marriage, and a mom of 3 sons, I ended up in this place not really knowing who I was or what I was here for anymore. And this was about 8 years ago. And so I started asking questions and started doing some of this work of returning back to myself. And I would say the rite of passage, the threshold that I crossed over was really was a seeking, for me, midlife and waking up in a marriage, not knowing who I was anymore, was about wanting the rest of my life to really be what I'm here for, to be living my purpose, to be living fully in my life and not just always looking forward to some future thing that was going to make me happy, but to find joy and meaning in now and today. And so I started on this quest with this work. I quested for the first time 6 years ago. And then I also did the Rites of Passage guide training. And Tree and I were in the same training group. And we got wrapped up in the COVID years. So I don't remember, like, I think maybe it was 2019 that we started our training, but I don't remember exactly when we finished. The call of this work to me is about, one, I love showing up in my most authentic self in a community of people that want to do the same. To feel safe, to bring my messy self, to bring my silly self, to bring my grieving self, and to be able to bring all these aspects into a community and to be held in that community. And it's also an honor to be able to hold that kind of space for others who are on that same journey. I feel like I've been able to rehome myself through this process of developing and engaging in relationship with the unseen world, with the natural world. As a child, it was very normal for me to go out and play in the woods and be out in the woods all day long, and for that to be my respite with my dog. But getting wrapped up in career and family, and I couldn't remember the last time I was in the woods. So it was quite a journey to do a quest, because I was an air mattress girl. I wasn't all that thrilled about being completely uncomfortable and sleeping on the ground. But the process of getting close to the earth and getting in the earth, and it's awakened in me the sense of belonging to a greater community than the one that I had originally imagined my community was. So I love the opportunity to participate in this particular weekend. It's kind of like it's a taste of what the Rites of Passage ceremonial initiation work is. And for me, if this had been available, I probably would have done this before I ever quested. At the time, it wasn't something that was being offered, so I just went all in. I was on my knees at that point, and that's what I needed to do. But it's a way to create community, to separate myself from the modern world into really like the real world, even though we seem to think the modern world is the real world. It's kind of like a opposite situation happening there. So being able to plug into the things that really matter, my ancestral relationships, my soul family, my connection with the divine, my connection with spirit, my connection with supporting others in their journey to find their way back home and remember the reason why they're here and what they came to deliver to their people. So it's always an honor to share this work with those that feel called or drawn to it. And it's an honor to be on this call tonight. So that's a little bit of me in a nutshell. I'm going to let Teresa share a little bit about what called her to the work. And then we'll talk more about what this weekend experience will entail. And then we'll also be open to any questions, comments, or concerns if there's any to be discussed, because we're here for you all to get your questions answered if you have them. So Teresa, it's on to you.
Thank you, Bea.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my given name is Teresa, and sometimes I go by Tree. Yeah, a little bit about myself and what brought me to this work. Well, my first rite of passage was actually with Cater Brown back in 2014 with the Rites of Passage Council, which I'm now very involved in. I currently do a lot of the cooking, and also I consider myself a ceremonial midwife, so holding space for people essentially is the short version of that. I did go through the training back in 2019 with Bea, and what called me to this work originally was essentially a crisis. My life was kind of falling apart in all the ways, and I had kind of reached a bottom in a sense that I didn't know where to turn. And I am a mother of 3 children, so I was going through a divorce, had moved away from everything and everyone that I knew. I moved here to the mountains, and I didn't know why, other than I wanted to be close to waterfalls. They brought a sense of peace, and I later discovered, that I was surrounded by ancestors on this land, and that started a whole journey of me learning essentially who I am and my family, and more of the details of where I come from. I will say, as a child, I've never been really religious, but I've always been spiritual. I've always been connected to nature. It's always been my safe place. And growing up, I just lost touch with it, as I'm sure most or many of us do lose touch. And I remember when I heard about this vision quest and this nature immersion, I originally thought that it was for my son. And I'll never forget Cater saying, you got to be the one to show up first. And it had never even dawned on me before that moment that that I was the one that was needing guidance, because I was just so used to being mom and like needing to hold it all together and know all the answers. So that's originally kind of what called me. But if I were to go even deeper than that, it was grief. I'd lost my mom very traumatically when I was 16, and I became a mother at 18. So there was not a lot in between. And then it was just, as single mom, like doing all the things for everyone else. But ultimately, my mother was calling me, and that grief that I had not yet been witnessed in, it's one thing to cry, and it's another thing to be witnessed and to be held by your community. And this work really is a lot about being supported by others. And that was difficult for me. That still sometimes can be difficult for me. And it's a practice of receiving support from others. But the nature aspect is really what hit home with me the deepest, because it's what's true. It's what doesn't, there's no mask there, it is what it is, and it's always providing guidance and truth. So in a sense, as we've learned and already knew, that this nature is medicine, and we're all able to really gain a lot from the natural world. And sometimes life is just moving too fast, and all of the technology and distractions led to me forgetting a lot. So yeah, this weekend excites me so much, because it's a step back into nature, back into these rememberings of the medicine that is provided in the world around us, and having each other to reflect upon, and to be in the curiosity. Yeah, and just to add another piece about my cooking, because I've been cooking a lot for the Rites of Passage Council, and it's one of my gifts. It brings me great joy. It's a big part of my creative self, and just I feel so honored to be providing nourishment and really putting my soul into that with health awareness. And it's been a big part of my journey specifically, and continues to be that. And it just it really lights me up, as I'm sure you can see. Yeah, that's what I'll share about me. There's much more, but we'll get into this program a bit.
Yeah, I was going to start with the thing that I forgot to say earlier, which is I'm going to read a short poem. It's a poem by John Rodell, and it goes like this. Lately, when I need to pray, I go to the church that has no doors, and where the walls are made of carved granite. I sit under its moving roof on a pew that smells like fresh pine, and fold my hands quietly until God joins me. Here in this most ancient of churches, I watch a dozen fat rainbow angels dressed as trout dance in the baptismal font, and wonder when I too will be made anew. There is a special kind of holy quiet here that rings much louder than any fat church bell I have ever known, and the silence often rattled my ribs. Its choir loft is high up in a bird's nest, and its confessional is a breeze that asks me to speak my sins, and I do. And then they are carried away. The longer I sing psalms in this church, the shorter my memory for all of my past mistakes become. And that is when I hear the voice of love speak. Oh, tired light. Oh, wounded heart. O my child of crumbling grace, come, plant your feet in this Eden. Come rest in this sacred space, O weary traveler, O somber fire, O shaking heart that is prone to fear. Come lay in my ribboned water. Come to fully know that I'm right here. O wilting daisy, O dying star, O broken song that needs a name. Come sit with me among the wild, and then you'll never be the same. God and I take turns saying all we need to say to each other, and I speak in short, heavy, jagged breaths, and the divine replies in thin, long pauses. This goes on until the sun begins to set. That's when it's time to leave. And even though I go home, I'm always still there in that antiquated church of trees and valleys, where foxes are lectors, where horizons are steeples, where clouds are vestibules, where campfires are incense, where time is a gospel, where the great flow is a sacrament, and where forests are community, where a little piece of me always still remains, talking to the voice of whispering love, as I watch trout be slain in the spirit, and I can't stop marveling at the altar of creation. And that's a poem by John Riddell. So this weekend that we have planned, a road ahead and awakening the wild heart. I'm looking for the date. It was in here. Oh, there it is. June 24th to 26th is the date. The arrival is on a Friday around 4 p.m. with departure on Sunday around 12. And what this weekend is about is it's about stepping into that altar that nature provides, that altar of sitting with the unseen, the altar of getting quiet and getting into relationship with the energy of the forest, of the mountain, of the river, of the tree people and the stone people, and connecting to the earth, which is our birthright. It is a place that we are here and that we ultimately belong, and that runs deep within our bones, within the essence even of our DNA. I'm kind of going off script, Tree, but if you want to jump in.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in. Well, one thing that I'm really excited to announce is that we do have a special guest that's going to join us. Lily Lumina, who I played a song by, is going to be sharing some of her beautiful, songs with us. And I'm super excited to have her with us. It's really special to have her. And we're gonna really get to connect deeply with one another. We'll share stories. Bea and I have some really rich stories that have been, crafted just for this weekend, and really get us curious about the four shields of nature, which is essentially a way to look at ourselves and the world around us in reference to the directions, the north, south, east, and west, the elements. This may seem familiar to some of you, and it may be completely new. So I kind of want to talk to just everyone in that. If we think of the elements, we think of air, fire, water, and earth. And we can find ourselves and the world around us reflected in these elements. So we kind of use it as a map. And so we'll dive deeper into some teachings around the 4 shields of nature. There's specific ceremonies that we'll participate in to help us drop deeper into the container. Yeah, definitely lots of poems and opportunities to just get to know one another and be around the fire, be with the fire, have meals together. We're going to provide you guys with yummy breakfast and snacks and dinner. And yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add, B?
Let's see.
Don't want to give away too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of contemplating. Yeah, other than it'll also serve as a way to detox from not the natural world, but from the modern world. When we meet you on Friday, we'll ask that you leave your technology in your vehicles, and will be contacts for anyone in case of an emergency if anybody does need to get in touch with you. And it's a different experience, as some of you may have already encountered, but to rise with the sun, go to bed with when the dusk occurs, and to not be attached to time or the technologies that we've gotten so acquainted with. So it'll also be an opportunity to detox from that world and immerse yourself into the rhythms of the natural world, which ancestrally is the way that we have always lived, but have forgotten. So a way to return back to that for the weekend experience.
I'm just curious if there's anyone that has any questions, if anything's piqued your interest, that anyone wants to speak to anything. I'd love to give that opportunity. If you want, you can just raise your hand, and the little, where's that box? The reaction button. You can raise your hand.
Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's welcome.
Phyllis, please go ahead and unmute yourself and
Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't find that raise the hand button. I know it's in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm really curious, how do you carry this sort of spirituality? How do you carry this experience with you? Or do you have recommendations of how to carry the experience into the rest of your world? Because you kind of go on the mountaintop and get this lovely experience. And it, I heard what you're saying about detoxing from technology and from all the things, the material things in this life. And that sounds awesome. And something I know, gosh, could use a few times a year. But anyway, do you have ways of carrying that into the life that you ever enter back to?
It's a wonderful question. There's quite a teaching around it, in fact. But I guess for me, to just be really slow and patient are the easiest ways to answer that. Because when you come back, you're coming back to your family or your friends or your work or all of them, and they haven't had this retreat, they haven't had this time to reflect. So they may be confused, or they may not even notice that there's any difference. So it really will put things into perspective for you. And you can share a little. And if people start to glaze over, just love them anyways. There'll be a few that want to know more. And those are the ones, that you give more to. Not necessarily the first person you see that asks you, like, how was your time? So you'll use that bone wisdom, to inform you how much to share and if there's an opening for more. And
I'm reminded, I'm sorry, Tree, can I?
Yeah, no, the one last thing is just, you'll hold it close to your heart, the time that you spend out in the natural world and ceremony and reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reminded of I can't say that I can do that seamlessly at all. And I'm reminded of a story that I've heard Cater tell, which is he was in a village and he asked his teacher, like, how does this village stay connected to ceremony? Like how does that happen? And his teacher just kind of laughed and said, well, there's never been a disconnection. So that's kind of not a question. Like ceremony just is a continual occurrence. So for me, that's my target. That's what my practice is to remember to bring the sacred into a daily practice, a moment to moment mindfulness of paying attention, of getting quiet and still, of kind of watching when my head starts to take over in my thinking world, and kind of watching when my forgetting can happen about what's important and where the divine is and what's happening right now. So for me, that's my goal, is to have a seamless transition between being out on the mountain for 2 weeks and coming back to my other world of work and family and life, and to have it be seamless. I can't say it's that way for me, but that's my goal, is to have a daily practice. Like right now, my daily practice is to sit on my porch and to watch my birds that come to my window feeders, and the hummingbirds that come to my hummingbird feeders, and to listen to the hoot owl at night, and to just get quiet and still and connect with my surrounding in that way. And I try to do that every day. And it kind of keeps it almost, it's like forest bathing. It keeps my blood pressure down. It keeps my nervous system grounded and settled and connected. And that way it doesn't feel quite as jarring between that experience and then coming back to the life, that we live on a day to day. And that's my goal, is that I will live my life as a ceremony, but I can't say I'm there. Did that address the question, Meg? Yeah. Was there another question? Yeah, Phyllis?
So I think I call myself a humanist Jubu.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't really resonate anymore with, I suppose, like metaphysical terminology. So I'm not even sure I relate to the word divine. So I'm a little concerned because I don't want to feel like mean, especially, I mean, it might be okay if it's a synonym for source or source of life or mystery of life. But if it's in a situation where it starts to become sort of too anthropomorphized, or some sort of duality, I'm not sure it would be like the right setting for me, so and I guess so. Even when I hear the word, and also when I hear the words like tree people and rock people, I don't really quite know what that means, because I feel like I'm spiritually oriented, but I guess sometimes I'm not sure where it crosses the line for me into like being like a little too woo woo or something. So I don't know,
Sure.
if I would relate, like, I don't even know how to think about tree people or rock people. So, those are a couple of my concerns.
Sure. Yeah. I appreciate you speaking to that. I can say the use of my terminology, I was raised Catholic. So I've come a long way from my Catholic origin and my Catholic school girl days in terms of the usage of words that I use. But I personally am all accepting. I'm also a metaphysical believer, and Hands of Light and Barbara Brennan and the scientific aspect of energy. And probably 8 years ago wouldn't have said things like tree people or stone people or rock people. But in the relationships that I have worked on, like, I appreciate that anthropomorphic, I struggle with that word, but what you said, yes. I appreciate you naming that, because I get what you're saying there. And I believe that this weekend is really about you authentically showing up as you, to return to that center connection that is your core essence, that is your North Star or beacon, or, and that whatever you choose to call it, it's the place that would be welcoming of that. But then there would also be, if words that are used, like the one poem that I read with the word God in it, like that, I was kind of uncertain about even using that poem because that word was in it. But again, I've become more curious about words and my relationship to words, and the energy of a word, and try to be more in relationship with it than in boxing it in to be a concrete noun existence of a thing. So I don't know if that helps explain where I personally am coming from, or what I feel it could be an inclusive space for you, especially given your courage to speak up about your concern at this point, because I would welcome that, and I know Tree would as well.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah. Any other concerns or questions? Yes, Sue?
To the source of the teachings or the root of the study?
Well, the Rites of Passage Council I don't know if I can do it justice, given I'm talking about my big brother's Rites of Passage Council, but it's an indigenous collective of Celtic wisdom, of African wisdom, of a Native American wisdom, of many, across all peoples, there have been this connection to the natural world, and this connection to the elements. If we go back in all of our lineages far enough, so it's this bone memory of these different maps of how humanity navigates life changes and severances and passage into different aspects of their calling in their life stages. So there's also Jungian psychology in our teachings. So there's some Western influence as well. It's really what I would call kind of an amalgam of all of these teachings that if we all go back far enough in our ancestral lineage, we're going to be hitting one of the paths that is like one of these maps. Tree, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing that comes to me is pancultural.
Yeah.
It's inclusive. There's, yeah, it's about, yeah, not finding the separations, but finding the connections. And everything that B said.
Thank you.
Boy,
That's helpful.
I liked what you said better. It was like to the point. Felt like I was rambling a little bit. So some of the details, I did mention it would be arrival on Friday at 4 p.m. We'll have dinner that evening. You'll set up your camp. So you'll come with, you'll get a supply list. So you'll have camping gear where you'll be spending the night out in your tent. It's not hike-in camping, so it can be car camping materials. So if you do have an air mattress or something like that for your own comfort, you could bring that. Then we'll have time around the fire to drop in with each other as a community. And then the next day we'll have breakfast, we'll have stories, some teachings, and then you'll have solo time out to do your own connection and your own path of that awakening and return to that wild heart place within you. And then that evening, we will have more like personal mythology, some stories, connection again, a ceremony, a group ceremony together, some celebration with song. And then the next morning, we'll have some teachings about the return and pack up and head out. So it's just a taste of what a longer quest experience could be like, or prayer fast experience is like. But it's a delicious little niblet.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a beautiful description.
So any other questions? Registration, I think the early registration has been extended until May 13th. If you need to set up a payment plan, email me and I will do some magic on the back end to help that happen for you. Let me put my email in the chat box. Let's see, I think I'm direct messaging you. Okay. I'm at dare to show up @gmail.com. The number 2, DARE, the number 2, show up @gmail.com. Also, if you do have a group, we would do a group discount. On the website, it says 5 for the cost of 4. We would do 4 for the cost of 3 to those who listen to this call. Again, if you wanted to email me if you had a group of 4 that you'd like to come, and we'll make sure we navigate the logistics of the registration from the website side and help make that happen.
Are there any other questions by chance? Yeah, wonderful. I'd like to share a poem. This poem is called The Promise. In this presence, beyond presence, in this place that is no place at all, in this warm embrace I call myself, even a no is a secret yes. Even resistance is deeply allowed. Even doubt is a celebration of life. Come, all you unloved creatures, all you homeless waves in life's vast ocean. Pain, doubt, shame, guilt. All you frightened orphans of light. Crawl out of your hiding places. Shuffle out of the darkness. You are invited to a great feast. Come, uncertainty, sit by my side. Come, despair, drink from my cup. Come, fear, do not be afraid of me. I will not turn away from you. I will not deny you a place at this table. Now that I know the truth of myself, I invited you here long ago. I have an ancient promise to keep. And it's by Jeff Foster.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any more questions or comments or concerns, we will bid you all sweet evening Beltane blessings.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. And thank you those who are listening to the recording.